Shalom. I want to give all praise to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh by Yashem, Yahweh Shah by Yashem Wakal Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders that were well, and many salutations to you, I count as toiling in this truth. Wanted to come with a quick sit down, encouraging brothers that, when you're going through, certain things in your life, the best thing that you could do is to be around a brotherhood. Satan, uses isolation as a way to conjure up demons. When you're going through certain things in your life, you know, um, uh, Satan could jump on you to make you think that brothers are looking at you and judging you some type of way, or can put a depression demon on you to where all you want to do is drink, and you put yourself in a worse predicament by doing so. By being depressed, by being being isolated by yourself, you know, and also not necessarily dealing with your problems. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes these problems can weigh on you to where you feel like shit. You got the weight of the world, on your shoulders, man. When you get around the brotherhood, you realize that you're not the only one that's going through certain things, and a lot of times, certain spirits that jump that hit the camp, and as you're talking to different brothers, you're like, wow, well, damn, this brother dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with, and that's the beauty of the brotherhood. We can't really express ourselves, what I'm saying, to these people in the world because they don't have spiritual lenses, they don't have the truth. What I'm saying, or these women, they might understand to a certain degree, but the people who understand your individual situation or your plight, it's going to be brothers that's in the camp, man. So when you going through certain things, you down and out, what I'm saying, whatever you're going through, I'd encourage you to get around the brotherhood. A lot of times, when we're going to certain things, we don't want to get around the brothers because we have certain defense mechanisms that we utilize that feels good to his flesh, but it's not advantageous to our spirit. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's when the brotherhood comes in, and they hold you to that higher that higher ground, or that higher standard than the world. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we don't want to be held to a higher regard, and so we isolate ourselves, and that's when them demons come, man. Okay, so this is Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12. Two is better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. That's right. So, you know, we have been, us that's in camps, we have been blessed, to have the brotherhood when we fall, when we're going through financial problems, when we're going going through like spiritual problems, saying relationship problems. We have brothers that we could talk to that could give us counsel, or that could help us get out of this a certain situation. But that very person, who doesn't have brothers, man, he's in straits. Look at the people in the world. Most people in the world, they don't have a true brotherhood they could call on, man. When something happens, you know, and that's that weighs on certain people, man. In this world, you know. But for us, we have people that we could depend on, and in this time and age, man, that's a blessing from Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, right? Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Proverbs 27, 17 to 18. Iron sharpen iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. That's right. So, us being this brotherhood we're held to a higher standard, you know, in our countenance is changed, man. Right? Most people, they don't have they don't have the capacity to accept, what I'm saying, rebuke, which rebuke is not a bad thing, you know what I'm saying? And two, they don't have people who's going to tell them about themselves to ensure that they're better people. You know, most people, you know, when they get to a certain age, they reach a mental plateau. But we're forever growing in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, making us acceptable men. We're light years above, people in this world, and it's because of the brotherhood. It's because that level of accountability that we have, man. Right? And in times of distress, in times of suffering, you got to run towards that accountability. Okay? Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall not, whosoever keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof. So he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. So constantly toiling in this truth, man, and watering your faith. Okay? And a huge part of that is what? Holding each other accountable. Proverbs 29, 9 through 10. Ointment and perfume rejoice the heart. So does the sweetness of a man friend by hearty counsel. Thy own friend and thy father's friend forsake not, neither go into thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity. For better is a neighbor than is near than a brother far off. That's right. So, a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, we're closer to the brotherhood than our actual flesh and blood. Why is that? Because we hold, the same beliefs. We have essentially the same culture. So how we um, conduct ourselves amongst each other, the brotherhood's not going. The people in the world not going to understand that level of accountability. These people in the world, they're not going to understand it, man. Especially people in your own family. Case in point, putting the Lord first versus obtaining money. People in the world, they deem that as crazy, but we deem that as fitting because we understand the investment that we are undertaking. The people in the world, they're perceived as if we're losing, that we're wasting our time. They might have a level of respect, of what we're doing, but yet and still, they don't totally believe in what we're doing. Okay. And actually, in certain aspects of the truth, scoff at, right? So we can't confide in these people because they don't confide in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Okay? We have to believe, in what the Most High set up, and that's a brotherhood, and forsake not the brotherhood, man. Even when things get dark for yourself in this walk of ours. Sirach 6, 14 through 17. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such a one has found a treasure. Neither doth countervail a faithful friend, and and his excellency is invaluable. A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him. Whosoever feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright. For as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. That's right, man. You know, a brother, these brothers, you know, when you down, you know what I'm saying, when your spiritual defenses is low, the brotherhood, man, that's what picks you up, man. Right? That's medicine to your mind. And most people don't have that in the world. Most people don't have faithful friends, bro. What we have is something that's very, very precious. And so when you're down and out, utilize it. Don't isolate yourself, right? Don't allow Satan to isolate yourself in the mind, because that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to isolate yourself so these demons can overtake you. Now run towards the brotherhood, man. Okay? So pray to was edifying, giving all praise to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh by Yishim, Yahweh Shah by Yishim Karkadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders everywhere. Peace and many salutations to you out there that's toiling in his truth. Shalom.